Great news for people out there looking to H1Bs, either on H1Bs or trying to get H1Bs. Big news, the court stopped the prevailing wage increase. Watch this video for all the details. Hi, thank you for joining me to talk immigration. My name is Andrea Shev, and I'm the managing attorney at Shev Law Group in Los Angeles, California. I've been doing immigration for almost 20 years now, and I've put together a ton of videos for all of you out there to give you short, concise, and easy to understand information on all types of immigration issues. So if you like this video or you have watched other videos and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, and don't forget to hit the bell right next to it because that will notify you anytime a new video comes out. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, because as much as I love to do videos, I can get out the information faster to you through social media usually than to get a video out to you. So make sure as soon as you finish watching this video, you go right over to my Instagram and my Facebook and you hit that follow button so you don't miss any of the immigration news that you need to know to be successful whatever visa you're pursuing. Okay, let's just jump into this topic that is actually a positive piece of news that I can give you, because lately all we've been getting is negative, 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 and finally we have something positive to give back to all of you out there on a video. The H1B prevailing wage that they skyrocketed just a few weeks ago, the court turned around and said no. So now the prevailing wages will go back down to the way they should be and the way they were, not that necessarily they were correct, but the way they were that were more reasonable than they actually did a few weeks ago when they skyrocketed all the prevailing wages. If any of you missed the video I did a few weeks ago about the Department of Labor skyrocketing all the prevailing wages overnight, make sure right now or after you watch this video, you go back and you watch that video. The link will be above. And you can go back and watch that video because I will give you all the details about how the prevailing wages are done and the different level wages and so on and so forth. So make sure you watch that video to get all that information. But in a nutshell, I'll tell you what happened. Just a few weeks ago, the Department of Labor basically overnight took the prevailing wages that are required to be paid by U.S. employers if they're hiring H1B employees or E3s, or they're petitioning people for green cards through employment. There's a certain prevailing wage that must be paid them. And what happened was that those prevailing wages, whatever they were not necessarily correct and reasonable, but they were more reasonable than we could argue what they became once the Department of Labor stepped in a few weeks ago. And what they did is they basically blew up those prevailing wages. For example, we had wages for some jobs that were at $60,000 before it blew up, and then they were asking $200,000 a year after the blow up. So it was ridiculous. It wasn't just like a 5% increase in prevailing wages. This was like enormous increases that were completely unreasonable for any industry across the United States to pay. And because of that, it was causing would have caused extreme inconsistencies in wages within these companies. So for example, if you're in a company and you're being paid $65,000, and that's average industry standard to be paid $65,000 for a particular job, and the guy next to you who's a US citizen is getting paid $65,000, so everyone's being paid the same, everything's done properly and fairly, and then all of a sudden overnight, the person sitting here on H1B is going to have to be paid $200,000 a year. Well, what do you think the U.S. citizen next to him is going to think when the H1B employee all of a sudden gets it raised to $200-something thousand a year? Not going to work out too well for the U.S. citizen, correct? And it's not going to work out too well for the actual U.S. employer, forcing likely them not to be able to hire H1Bs, and then causing a domino effect, which I talked about in the other video a little bit more detailed, a domino effect to negatively affect our industries because we need these H1B employees because there's not enough U.S. citizens to fill certain positions in the United States. So it was just a disaster. And because of that reaction, the Chamber of Commerce and a huge amount of tech companies and universities across the United States sued the federal government and said, you can't do this. Like, you cannot overnight switch all the prevailing wages to some enormous amounts of money that are going to be forced to be paid without asking us first and discussing with us and getting our comments, because we're out here in the world, the real world, hiring people, creating businesses, teaching international students, teaching industries, and we need to be consulted on what is reasonable industry standard for wage payments. Okay, but I know what you're thinking out there. Hey, Andrea, we've been down this road before. We've seen this rodeo where the courts say no, and then a few weeks later they say yes, and then a few weeks later they say no. So how do we know this is going to stay? How do we know this is going to work? How do we know that they're not going to come back in a month from now or a week from now or a few hours from now and switch this back? Well, unfortunately, we don't know. In the environment we're in, we don't really know. But I will tell you that as of doing this video right now, there's been no appeals that have been filed that have gone against this by the Department of Labor or any federal government. So we can keep our fingers crossed that they won't do that. And they'll actually follow the proper process and procedure to get comments and get things done properly if they're going to try to raise them again. And if they do it properly, very unlikely they will raise as much as they raised them before, because that, we all know and we can all agree on, was completely insane and completely unreasonable. So I hope all of you enjoy this video as much as I did, because at least it's something positive in the news that I can give to you today. I hope that, some employers out there that are watching this and employees around the world or in the country on H1Bs or E3s or looking to get them or in an immigration application process can kind of sigh a bit of relief, because that was really going to shake a lot of people's worlds, including employers in the US and employees. So I'm hoping that this video gives you a little bit of peace and a little bit of hope and optimism that we're moving in the right direction now, and we're not moving in the wrong direction as we have been with regard to the positive side of immigration and supporting it and in supporting all the necessary talent that we want to keep and bring to the United States. If you haven't subscribed already to this YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button right now. Hit that notification bell. Leave me comments below. I love to hear from all of you out there. I love to have conversations with you about this and get your input of what's going on in your world out there, in the real world, not in the fake world, but in the real world. What's going on out there? So please give me comments below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to follow me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. I'm posting all the time, and it's a really fast way to get good information if you can't get to the video or I haven't had a chance to do the video yet. So don't forget to right away go to my social media and hit that follow button on Facebook and on Instagram, because I love to see you guys not only on YouTube but also on my social media platforms. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next time.